Okay, y'all, I'm back. Fresh cup of coffee. All right. I guess the first thing I should probably tell you is I think I know where my health issues, and when I say that, I'm not saying I'm a sickly person because I don't use being sick to my advantage, and I just grab myself up by the bootstraps and keep going. So I don't consider myself sickly. But I think the downfall of my physical being, which isn't horrible, but I think it started, I was like 14 years old, and I was out of school for the summer, and I was babysitting for a friend of my mom's who had some little children, and she was in the hospital. She had had a new baby, and then she had had a hysterectomy. Well, back then, a million years ago, it was like 50 years ago, you stayed in the hospital after you had the baby for a few days. You didn't get sent home without your baby like they do now, because baby has to stay, I think, a day. Anyhow, and then the hysterectomy, back then it was, oh my God, major surgery. So she was in, I was probably running her household and taking care of her children. The husband was there. I never saw him, I think, one time. So here I am at this young age, taking care of these kids, feeding them, and they were young, and cleaned up her house. So anyhow, I got sick. She came home, and I was supposed to stay all summer and help her. Somehow it ended up being for free. I'm not sure what kind of an agreement my mother made with these people, but I thought I was doing a summertime job. Again, another thing with my mom. So anyhow, I wasn't feeling good. I was getting sicker by the day. So it was to the point where the headache was so bad that I couldn't even open my eyes. So I called my mother and I said, look, I'm sick. You need to come and get me. I can't help her. I'm sick. So she did. And right away we went to the emergency room. I had mono. Doctor said, I'll be sick for a while, blah, blah, blah. Take the medicine. Not a whole lot we can do. It's got to run its course. Okay. Whatever. I couldn't even talk at that point. My tonsils were like, freaking tennis balls in my throat. I was a mess. I was sick. So she takes me home, and, rather than put me in my room and make me comfortable, and I have to set up my bed on the couch because, right there in the middle of all the fucking noise and everything, it's just easier for them to take care of me that way rather than walk around the corner into the bedroom and, because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't lift my head. That's how sick I was. My mom worked, and she would tell my sisters, stay here with her, make sure she's okay, get her to the bathroom, whatever. Well, they were just as fucking mean as my mother was. And she would come home and find me passed out on the floor halfway between the couch and the bathroom because I'd have to go. And they either weren't there or they wouldn't help me. So I got so sick. I was so thin you could read a newspaper through me. I was sick. Couldn't do anything for myself. Well, again, my moxie kicks in. I'm like, this ain't happening. I can't do this. I'm not going to get better in this house because, of the abuse. And so, slowly but surely, I started moving and doing and, just forcing myself so I could at least halfway crawl to the bathroom and so on. And so I worked real hard over the summer, and we had longer summers too. But anyhow, so I was getting to feel better. And it was time to go see the doctor because I had to have a release because of the mono to go back to school. I was determined I was going back to school. I was not screwing up my education. I was going back to school. So my mother got me a doctor's appointment, and we went. And I was so proud of myself. I put on my purple skirt, my little purple shirt, did my hair, got myself all pretty and went back to see the doctor. The doctor walked in the room. He looked at me, went. He looked at my mother, and he looked at me. He said, I don't believe you're sitting there. He says, it's sitting there looking as good as you look. Of course, I'm stupid at this point, and I'm like, well, I told you I want to go back to school. I can't miss school. Another one of my mom's shit things, she didn't tell me. He said, I didn't think I'd ever see you again. He said, I really didn't. He said, we just got your final blood work back. He said, you were so sick and your blood was so screwed up. He used, doctor's words. He said, we thought you had advanced stages of leukemia. He says, I'm so very happy to see you sitting here. You want to know how I felt and everything. I'm like, he didn't think he was going to see me again. I was that bad. Thought it was advanced leukemia, and it came back just really bad mono. Really bad. Because it messes with your blood that way, Okay. And he asked me how I was feeling. He drew blood again, that kind of thing. And I said, can I go back to school? That was my concern. Yeah, with restrictions, with being... Don't give me restrictions. So, yeah, that's where I think it all started. I didn't know I was that sick when I was that sick. And again, my mother didn't tell me I was that sick when I was that sick. What, she was just going, knowing I could possibly have passed a chance there was, because I was bad. And I got treated the way I did. Anyhow. That's neither here nor there, I guess, now. But I think that's where everything started, was when I got real sick like that. And I'm not sure where that all came from and how I got that sick. And I know I was wore down, taking care of those children in that house. And because one of the kids was still in diapers. And maybe that's it, because the doctor said you can wear yourself down to that point. So... I'm thinking that's where it started with, because it attacked my immune system really, really bad. And of course I have horrible allergies. I have horrible hives, I have a lot of things. And I don't know if that's where it started, because I was so sick at such a young age. I don't know. But I do know that, after that, I just, every now and then I would be real sick. No rhyme or reason, and if I went to the doctors, I just quit going for a while because it was antibiotics. Then, it started with the whole steroids fix everything, which they do with me. That's my drug of choice when I'm sick. That's what they give me. So, going further from that, I've had bilateral carpal tunnel, both hands at the same time. And that's when they did the surgery, where they started here and cut you all the way down. They did that on both of mine. I had to have knee surgery where I took a concrete grinder to the knee and whacked everything in half. Didn't think I was ever going to walk again. But I don't think that had anything to do with any of that. But I've had a messed up thyroid all my life, which I think comes from that. I have well, anyhow, it's a thyroid disease. And then as I got older, just things in my whole body started to go. I had to have tissues removed from my breast years ago that were bad. Then my female issues started. I never had a problem with female issues at all. You never even knew it was my girly time of the month. Then female issues started, and, you know, I'd go in and they'd fix it. I finally got to the point where I said, you know, let's just get rid of all of it. You're cutting on me so much. You know, a lot of it they did laparoscopic, so I don't even count those a lot as surgeries, even though I should. I was out like a light. But then she went in with the hip-to-hip cut, and there went all the girl parts. And the reason all the girl parts had to go is because I had cervical cancer. Yeah. I had breast. I had cervical. I had endometriosis, terrible. I had 10 pounds of tumors in my uterus. You know, and for things to be going wacky and awry like that for somebody, it had to all stem from that really bad case of mono I had that really deteriorated my immune system. So, yeah, I had all that done. And we just, you know, keep an eye on that. But so far, so good with that. And then as I, you know, started getting older, I had some problems with breathing. But I also smoked. So, you know, okay, I smoke. So, yeah, I probably shouldn't be able to breathe good. And, of course, all that time, they're treating me for asthma. And I'm like, but I smoke. Well, no, you have asthma. Okay, whatever. So from there, you know, the gallbladder went, so I had to have the gallbladder out. You know, everything is just going in stages. Then about 2000, you know, I was just sick a lot, you know, but I kept going like I do now. I just didn't feel good. And then around 2003, I started getting real sick with the breathing. So, you know, I went to the doctor. Asthma, exacerbating asthma. You have asthma. Oh my God, you know. So there was the breathing treatments and the inhalers and, you know, portable oxygen if I need it. Asthma and portable oxygen? So, okay. So that's where we went with that for all those years up to about 2005. It wasn't really bad, you know. And then I met Chris, and I didn't feel good, but, you know, new love, and, you know, you're trying to stay with it, you're pushing, and so yeah, I just didn't feel good, but I kept working, and I worked about 70 hours a week. Yeah, I just kept going. So by 2007, when Chris and I got married, you could start seeing the effects. You could see the effects of the steroids. I was starting to gain weight from the steroids. Still being treated for exacerbating asthma. But we went ahead, you know, got married. Because I was sick, but it didn't seem bad, you know. It wasn't anything I couldn't manage. And so we got married in 2007. Yeah. And things just started going from okay to worse by 2007. I mean, up to that point, you know, I was having things done, but I was still able to work. I was still able to maintain my life, you know, but it was just sick. You know, I couldn't explain it, so I didn't discuss it. Why? I don't know how to tell you, so I'm not going to tell you. So that's where we get to 2007 with Chris in a new relationship. I have Ricky. And it just started going downhill really fast from there. But, you know, I had quit smoking because I knew that wasn't helping at all. So I gave up a lot of vices. You know, I didn't go out with my friends anymore, and I just didn't feel good. You know, and I had a family to take care of and things to do, and so something had to go. So it was my personal life, you know, so I could devote what I had in me to everybody. Right. And I think it just went downhill from there because when I met Chris, again, another one, and, you know, I didn't realize how bad the situation was. An alcoholic. And apparently a prior bad drug addict also. I didn't know any of that. Why is it people can't be honest with you? You know, you're going to find out, especially when you marry him. Eventually something's going to come up. So those first few years probably didn't help my health at all. It started deteriorating really bad, but the stress, I had to work, you know, and I was taking care of a child and a drunk husband, and I walked right back into what I had walked out of with my first husband. I stayed single for a few years in between, you know, hoping I would smarten up and not walk back into another situation like that, but I did. So anyhow, that's where we're at 2007, and I just started getting pretty bad. Yeah. So in the next one, I'll tell you what was going on before we found the proper help. It was horrifying when we moved up here, and the doctor that I had, it was horrifying. And we still say that she's the one that put me as bad as I had gotten. And, yeah, it was. So all this stuff up until 2007 that I endured was bad, but it wasn't bad. Yeah. And some of the pictures, I can't post some of the pictures I have. That's how bad they are. I try not to even look back in my history on my photos because I have a lot of photos that were taken during that time. Terrible. But we'll save that for maybe later. I'll come back because I got a headache and what time is it? 9:13. Another hour I got to get ready to go to the doctor's because that's about a 30-minute drive over there. I know it seems like a long time. It's really not. It's just a lot of country roads. So go see my heart doctor. I'll be back when I'm done over there, and I want to see what he says about what's going on. And I'll let you know, and then we'll pick up at 2007 because the best of the worst is yet to come. All right, folks, I'll see you later. Have a wonderful morning. Hug somebody, love somebody, get up and move around. That's what I'm doing. Keep going. I'll grab them breaths wherever I can. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by.